All right, so those of you that are at home, hopefully you've had time to do the do now as well. If not, pause this recording and we will gladly give you time to do it. Just unpause when you're ready. For those of you that missed it, because I was not recording the first time, I'm Weller. I teach at Jemison High School. I love to read. I tend to read mostly history stuff, and I think the ACT is one of the most awful things in this world. Hence, I want to help you beat it. I want you to not give them your money because the ACT wants your money, children. It wants you to take it over and over and over again until you hate it, because each time you take the ACT, they get money. So we are here today, not in celebration of the ACT. No, we are in cohort or cahoots to beat the ACT. So you guys are in ACT reading right now. And the cool thing about ACT reading is that you don't have to know anything. Every answer from the passage or from in the reading is in the passage. Every single answer comes included. So what you have to do is you have to be able to find it. So ACT reading is really, really cool in the sense that you develop your approach and then you just practice it. And that's how you get better at it. So there's not going to be a lot of instruction with reading. I'm going to present my method today. Miss Emery is going to present her method in the next couple of sessions, but mostly these sessions are practice driven. We want you to understand the different strategies to approach this, as well as what works best for you, and then just hammer that into the ground. So first, we must know our enemy. Have you guys ever read Sun Tzu's The Art of War? Step one, you got to know your enemy. You got to know who you're dealing with. So what it is. First of all, have you guys ever taken the ACT Trinity? I'm pretty sure you have. What about you, Gina?
I've only taken the pre-ACT.
Okay, so then this should look familiar to both of you, but it's not quite as, I don't think it's the same as the pre-ACT. It's been a minute since I've seen that. What it is though, is it's 40 multiple choice questions and you get 35 minutes to do it. So that means you have less than 1 minute per question. So you need to be able to use your time wisely. You're presented with 4 different passage types, and each passage type has 10 questions to accompany it. First one is prose fiction. This is stuff that you might read in English class, etc. Social science is anything within the social studies pantheon. Humanities tends to be more art, drama, music based, and then finally natural sciences. It's also insanely boring. So the reason I warn you about this is ACT reading comes third. So that means you have just killed your brain in the 2 longest sections, which are ACT English and ACT Math. Then they're so mean that they give you a break, which tricks your brain. It says, it's okay, relax for a few moments. So have y'all ever been reading something and suddenly like you're thinking about 3 other things, especially when it comes to this ACT? You're sitting there and you're like, dang, I'm hungry. I'm a little sleepy now. I'm almost done with this thing. I wonder if we can go get the Chick-fil-A after this, or maybe the Taco Bell. I don't know. Man, I hope there's a good movie on TV tonight. And then suddenly 5 minutes left. Has that ever happened to you?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. You know why? Because the ACT is boring. I promise y'all, it's boring as heck. They do it on purpose to you. So for us to take a good, solid, targeted approach to this, we need to have a plan. Always, always, always have a plan. Even if it's not a great plan, have a plan. But after this, it's going to be a great plan. So there are two different strategies that are typically used with ACT reading. Now, before you go, yeah, but I have a strategy. Cool. I'm going to teach you mine today, and I want you to just give it a shot. You have nothing to lose here. There is no judgment here. I just want you to try it. The two different approaches are first skim to win, and that's what we're going to practice this week. The second one is read it all. So when you are doing read it all, you are reading the whole entire thing. And this works great if you read fast, but you can't get attached to what you're reading. You can't be like, wow, we're reading about ants. I like ants. Ants are great. Oh, that's fascinating. No, you are not reading this for pleasure. You are reading it as quickly as you can, and then you are jumping into the questions. Over on Skim to Win, you're not going to read the entire thing. Skim to Win is more like what you do when you are handed a worksheet that you know is just boring as heck busy work, and you just need to find the answers. You just skim through it looking for the answers. So we're going to go through Skim to Win today. If Read It All has kind of got your brain thinking, yeah, I'm a fast reader, that might be my approach, Miss Emery's going to go through that next reading. So in 2 weeks, you'll get that approach as well. So talking about Skim to Win, how to do it. This approach is going to work best on paper, but we don't have paper today. That's okay. I can show you how to do it virtually. So the big idea of how it works, you're going to spend 2 minutes tops in the reading, because remember, you have 40 questions you have to get through. So you are given about 8 minutes per passage to be able to do this well. Then you're going to move on to the questions after 2 minutes in the passage. And 2 minutes is not a lot, but again, you're not looking to understand the passage. You're not looking to really remember the passage. You just want to know where stuff is. And you want to save big idea questions for the end of your section. So we're going to go through kind of what you're doing while you're doing the reading, and then we're going to go into the questions. So when you are in the reading, first things first, you want to look for words that can serve as landmarks. So what words do you kind of look for when you're skimming? What do you think?
Keywords like names and places.
Yes, perfect. Proper nouns are your friend. Why? First, they're usually capitalized, and capital letters are easier to find. 2, look for words that might be a little bit foreign to you. So words that you may be familiar with or just stand out to you. And then 3, you're going to be looking for place marker words. Those are words like first, second, last, and then, stuff like that. Ideally, if you are on paper, you are scanning through your document using one of these archaic machines, a pencil, yes. And you are just looking through it like this and circling words. Now, do not circle words on your laptop. That won't help you very well. What we can start doing though is we could start giving you what we use in a PDF if you want to print it at home. I'll talk to Miss Heller about how we could do this, but that'll allow you to get the on paper experience. So again, you're looking for big ideas. Oh, this is going to be about icebergs and the ocean and specifically the Pacific. Okay, so we're talking about the Pacific Ocean. Cool, so on and so forth. You want to know where those words are at. Second thing you want to do is when you're going through this, to keep yourself on pace, you want to actually go back to elementary school and remember how we would sight read using our finger. We're bringing it back, going old school here. It's retro. Do that on your computer. If you have a touch screen, obviously don't touch it. You'll lose your place. But sit there and skim and use your finger to sight read. So it keeps you on task. Any questions on this?
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it really is. We try not to complicate things around here. I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. So, all right. When you get to the question, first, go with the clues you're given. All right. You want to look through your questions. And then if we have a question like this one right here, in relation to the first paragraph's earlier description of the nightmare, narrator's comments in line 10 through 13 primarily serve to, where do I automatically know I'm going? Where am I going with this? Where in the information?
Lines 10 to 13.
Perfect. Perfect. And if that's not part of the first paragraph, I'm going to probably scoot up to the first paragraph too and just check out what's going on up there. Hey, Tyler, glad you could join us today. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to link the do now in the group chat. You can feel free to do that later, though. Right now, we are talking about how to do the skim method. So glad you're here with us today. So when you're skimming, you're looking for your landmarks here. So we've got lines 10 through 13. I'm automatically going to go up to the first paragraph. Then do I just read lines 10 through 13? What do y'all think? Kind of a tough question, yeah.
No.
Ooh, Trinity, why'd you say no? Because I love that answer.
You got to read around there because you can't just look at that one point.
Yes, ma'am. Trinity was with us this summer and she remembers the read around. Yes, you've got to read just a little above and a little below. Reason being is you want to know the context. Again, though, at most you should only be reading like 5 or 6 lines, which is way less than reading an entire paragraph or passage. All right, next, let's talk about the sequence in which you answer questions, because you're going to have questions like this, which prompt you to go to lines or say in the last paragraph, and they give you those nice little markers. Hit those questions first. Reason being is they're guiding you. They're the easy questions. All right. And if anything, we want easy points before we want to have to work hard. But there comes a point when you've got to work. And that's these big idea questions. So can y'all see the question that's on my screen right now?
Yeah.
Perfect. It says, based on the passage, which of the following statements best describes the overall attitudes of the narrator and the woman? So when we're looking for overall attitudes, this is requiring us to know a little bit more about the passage than the skim method allows us to do. So here's what we do. We save these questions for last, because as you go through the passage, you're going to learn more about it. You're essentially reading with a purpose in the passage. So 1, you're going to skip this kind of question until you are out of those easy questions, those line indicator questions. All right. Second, let's talk about how much time you should spend on each question. Remember, you have less than a minute per question. I would go no more than 30 seconds on a question. Go no more than 30 seconds. Reason being is if you spend too much time on one, you lose time with the rest. So if a question is causing you to have to think past 30 seconds, you want to give it up, narrow down what you can based upon what you know, then give it a logical guess. Finally, finish a passage completely. So after we get all those easy line questions, we have to go back to these big idea questions. And that's where narrowing and guessing might be a stronger idea if you're running short on time, because that's going to eventually let you have more time in the other sections. So this right here is kind of a basic intro into the skim method. Now, the next time I see y'all, which will be in about 4 weeks, I'm going to give you some more tips and tricks that can fit either the skim method or the read it all method. And just to kind of refine our approach into this ACT reading. But for now, we're going to do a little bit of practice. Before we begin our practice, what questions do y'all have based upon what we've talked about?
I don't have any.
Perfect. Well, I'm crowning myself the best ACT reading teacher ever. I'm sorry, Miss Emery. And we are going to jump into the practice because, like I said, I can sit here and explain stuff to you all day long, but at the end of the day, where are the answers? Y'all tell me verbally.
In the passage.
Trinity coming in strong. They are so in that passage. We just have to find them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump in feet first, and we're going to start with natural sciences. What I'm going to do is, okay, confession time. Sometimes these YouTube timers work great. Sometimes they are trash. So what I'm going to do for y'all is I'm going to have a timer set on my handy dandy cell phone and go on that as well as this timer. After 2 minutes, okay, first 2 minutes, you're going to spend it in the document. Then after that 2 minutes, you're going to go into the questions. Now, these are documents that, or these are passages that are broken up into a Google form. So they're okay. But again, this is not the best that I have for you. Best would be doing it on paper. So we're going to try 8 minutes. We're going to see where we get. Don't be afraid to skip around and do questions out of order. All right? Give me just a moment and I will have that linked for you. All right, if you check the chat right now, you have your natural science linked right there and ready to go. And if you are doing this at home, the first one you're going to want to start with is natural science. Go ahead and pause the video here and set your own 8-minute timer. All right. Give me a yes when you are in the form. You can either type it in the chat or you can give it to me verbally.
I'm in.
Perfect. I got 1. I got 2. Tyler, I don't see that you have a mic hooked up. I'm not showing a mic for you. Are you able to see the chat at all? Uh-oh. Well, Tyler, I hope you are with us, if not in spirit. All right, my cap and gown kids, remember 2 minutes skimming the passages, looking for those keywords, looking for those indicator words of time passage. Then we're going to go 6 minutes into the questions. I will stop you at time and we'll see where we're at. Are y'all ready? Get set and go. Okay, so number 31, the passage mentions that the onset of illness would be caused by any of the following except. All right, so if we look at our answer choices here, what is one word that they all have in common that we could search?
G.
chi. And to me, that's a word that like pops. So if we search for chi, if we go back up, it talks about chi up here towards the beginning. Does it talk about chi anywhere else? Not really, because then it goes into yin and yang. So if we look through here and we see what chi is responsible for, generates warmth, protects body from external influences, but we're looking for what influences it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if we keep looking, all right, okay, it talks about meridian deficiency, excess or stagnation of chi, the body malfunctions, and illnesses. So we've scrolled down here. The passage mentions the onset of illness would be caused by any of the following except. Does it talk about the change in temperature of chi? Well, it definitely talked about the disruption of the flow. So we can get rid of D. Scanning back up here. Let's see. The flow is disturbed. There we go. Okay. Deficiency, excess, or stagnation. I don't see temperature anywhere. So C is the correct answer because it's not talked about. Any questions on that one?
I thought it was pretty, I guess, straightforward.
Yeah. And a lot of our ACT reading questions are. They are just finding the information in the passage. And that's the one, those are the ones, are those easy points that we don't want to spend a lot of time on. All right, so question 32. According to the fifth paragraph, lines 35 through 45, where am I looking? Where am I looking, y'all?
Around 35 and 45.
Perfect, Gina. Excellent. Yeah, so I'm looking around 35 through 45. Studies have shown that the insertion of acupuncture needles into acupoints causes nerve stimulation that results in. What did y'all put on this one? What do we see as the correct answer? If you don't want to say it out loud, you are more than welcome to type it in the chat.
I put F.
I put F too.
Excellent. Why did y'all like F so much? Scroll up to 35 to 45.
I did process of elimination. So the one, while it did say that there were chemicals being released, it didn't really, H and J just didn't make sense in my mind for some strange reason. But I mean, that's okay. G was a hard one to go between with G and F. Because I mean,
I had the same problem.
yeah, because they talked about the spinal cord, and for a good second I was like, oh, it's G, but then I was like, no, it's F.
Yeah, there's that mention of the spinal cord right in there. So what you're finding is you are finding that within a lot of these questions, there are two that you can get rid of right off the bat. And then there's one answer that seems right, but you kind of have to argue for it. You have to say, yeah, but. And if you find yourself saying, yeah, but, that is the call of the wrong answer. All right? Yeah, but means it's wrong. So y'all are correct. The correct answer on that is, in fact, F. You didn't fall for that distractor. Excellent. All right, let's go for question 33. The studies of acupuncture described in the fifth paragraph, lines 35 through 40. Pause. Where are we going?
35 and 45.
Perfect. Thereabouts. Excellent. 35 through 45. Excellent. All right. So what we are looking for is what are they talking about acupuncture treating? So if we go up to 35 and 45, what'd y'all put? Now, is this one that we have to kind of read around for?
I said C.
See?
Hey, too.
Anybody else feeling brave? I appreciate you both.
I chose D.
D, okay. So if we look up just above line 35, it's talking about pain control. All right. So as we kind of skim down, it's talking about stimulation, sends impulses up the spinal cord, primitive part of the brain known as the limbic system, as well as the middle brain, the pituitary gland. Somehow this signaling leads to a release of endorphins and monoamines. Some of y'all probably can pronounce that way better than I can. Feel free to correct me. I like smart kids. Chemicals that block pain signals in the spinal cord and the brain. So if we scan down here, all right, the only thing that really works with that consistent message of pain is in fact C. So the correct answer that we're looking for is C, headaches. So when we read around, just remember, go a couple of lines above, couple of lines below. All right. 34. Who feels like they really understand 34? Is anybody like, yeah, I've got this? Okay, the silence is deafening. So let's look at 34 together. According to the passage, the case study by Cho showed the volunteers experienced an increase in visual cortex activity when they, all right, so what do we need to search for first? What's a good search term in this? Because they're not giving us where we need to go this time.
I went for the volunteers.
Ooh, why did you like volunteers?
Because I figured it would be like a paragraph about the fact that he was experimenting on the volunteers. So I went looking there.
Okay. Did anybody else search for anything different? All right. I searched for Cho, but the problem with that is Cho is mentioned a lot in here. All right, because we have Cho right here, we have Cho right here, we have Cho up here. All right, so I like that you searched for volunteers. That's a great idea. And as we search, we're going to be looking right in here about lines 64 through 80, because this is talking about that experiment. So with our question here, the volunteers experienced an increase in visual cortex activity when they did what? So let's see what they had to do. All right. Ooh, increase in activity in the visual cortex. There it is, about line 71. Okay. So what did they do? Well, it has to do with images. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Test the premise chose student volunteers into an MRI machine, the results from which can be viewed as colorful brain activation maps. First stimulated the eyes of the volunteers by flashing light in front of them. All right, does that answer our question here? Cho showed that volunteers experienced an increase in visual core viewed brain activation maps. No, they didn't view their own brain activation map. Were exposed to high concentrations of color. Doesn't really say anything about that. Received acupoint stimulation in their big toes or underwent acupoint stimulation on the outside of their foot. Here's the thing is, did I read far enough? Spoiler alert, I did not. So go back up to our section, keep reading down. Then Cho had an acupuncturist stimulate one of the vision-related acupoints in one person after another, the very same region of the brain. The image lit up on the MRI machine. The magnitude of brain activity seen on acupuncture stimulation was nearly as strong as that elicited by the flash of light. All right. To eliminate the possibility of a placebo, also stimulated a non-acupoint, the big toe. So is the big toe where we wanted to go for? No, because that's a non-acupoint. So what we have right here is underwent acupoint stimulation outside of the foot. Correct answer for 34 is J. Do we see how we could get there? Is everybody alive out there?
Yeah.
Oh, good, good. I just want to make sure y'all are still living. All right, so 34 is J. 35, information in the last paragraph. Pause. Where are we going?
The last paragraph.
Boom. All right, so if we go to our last paragraph and we look for the acupuncture research results, we are going to find that the correct answer is in fact B. How are we with B? Do we like B? Do we need to explain B?
I had it, so I'm good.
Okay. All right, 36. The passage indicates that the balance between yin and yang in a person depends on that person's what? Okay, so pause. What's a good search term in here?
Yin and yang.
Boom, there it is. Because it's only in a very small portion of this. If we go up and we look at yin and yang, what we're going to discover is that it's directly tied to a person's chi. So the correct answer is in fact J. If you need me to go further into this and to show you in the document where these answers are or how we got there, I'm going to trust you to advocate for yourself and say, yo, Weller, show me where that is. All right, so if we look at 37, according to the passage, a person with a yang condition might exhibit all of the following except, pause. These questions here, these are tricky. Here's why. We are so used to looking for right answers that when we get one of these, we still try to look for right answers. So when we have an except question, what I want you to do is I want you, especially if we have this on paper, circle that except, because that's your trigger to your brain to say, yo, look for the wrong answer. We want wrong answers only here. So after we do that, what's a great search term? Personally, I would go back to yang. I would use yin and yang again because it's going to talk about it around the same section. And if we go back to that section, we are going to realize that the correct answer is A, because they don't, bless. They don't talk about pale faces really.
If we get something wrong, do we leave it or do you want us to change it?
Go ahead and leave it because again, you're not receiving a grade for this. This is just going to allow us to see your growth and to see if what we're doing is helping you or if we maybe need to revisit and take a different approach. Yeah, there's no shame in wrong answers here.
Okay, cool.
However, if you don't understand why you got it wrong, that's when we need to pause and dig into it.
I understand why I got it wrong. I just skimmed a little too fast and yeah.
Was it that darn accept?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, that's okay. It's okay to get things wrong here. All right, so if we look at 38, as it's used in line 49, the word concentrated most nearly means. So again, this is an example of we want to go straight to which line?
49.
Perfect, Tyler. You want to go to line 49, but you got to go a little bit above and a little bit below to make sure you get what you need. So if we do that, what we're going to find is that for that one, it means gathered together. So concentration of. To me, a lot of times those can be the easy ones because it's just you either know it or you don't. You go, you look, you either know it or you don't. All right, 39. According to the passage, Cho would have determined that volunteers had experienced a placebo effect if which of the following procedures had created an increased activity in the visual cortex of the brain. All right, so again, we're going back up to that Cho experiment. We know exactly where that is because we've been there before. And if we read through our choices, we find that it is in fact D. Stimulating a place that was not a visual acupoint. Because remember, he did that and it didn't produce the same results. All right, and then finally 40. In the last paragraph, where am I going? Where do I automatically know where to go?
The last paragraph.
Perfect. The author expresses the belief that scientists who open a new line of research on a topic are likely to. All right. What did we get for number 40? Okay, which ones can you rule out? Which ones are you sure it's not?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't J.
Good. It definitely wasn't. Learn they have often asked the wrong questions. Definitely not. Anybody else want to eliminate one that they didn't like? Ooh, that tells me that we got stuck a little bit. Let's go up to the last paragraph then. So if we go up, like many preliminary scientific reports, Cho's study raises more questions than it answers. Still, he has demonstrated new functional effects of acupuncture. Okay, class blah, 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 people connected data, 1,000 studies. We've demonstrated at least some acupuncture points go through to the brain. Cool. Okay, so if I scroll back down here and I look at my choices, quickly discover and answer the questions they wrote. No, they definitely didn't. In fact, they raised more questions than they had answered. So which answer best fits that quote?
H.
Oh, receive answers far different. I could see how you would think that.
I meant to say G. I was
Cool.
looking at the wrong one.
You're good. All right, so the correct answer is in fact G. All right. They end up getting more questions than they have answers. So how did we do on that? For some of y'all, it might be your first stab at it.
I only got one wrong.
Excellent.
I got 2 wrong.
Okay, great. So what you're going to find is that as you go through the different types of passages, you're going to find passages that you are super excited to read. Well, let's not exaggerate there. There is very little in here that you'll ever be super excited to read, but there are going to be preferred passages. And as you practice, because again, practice is key to this, as you practice, try to figure out what is your preferred passage. Do you really, really enjoy natural sciences? Do you prefer to go through and do, humanities, social science, etc.? Since my other slides have not loaded yet to my Google thing, what we're going to do is we're just going to use this same slide. And y'all ready to do another practice, or do you need just a little bit of a brain break to maybe go get some water or get a snack?
I'd like a moment, if that's okay.
Of course, absolutely. Let's go ahead and let's take a quick 5-minute break. Go grab a snack, go grab something quick, and I will meet you back here in 5. I'm going to set a timer on the phone. There we go. All right, go grab a drink, go to the restroom if you need to. For those of you at home who are just joining us, we are on the second passage, social science. Remember, 2 minutes in the passage, 6 on the questions. Go ahead and pause the video now. I realized I forgot to record that part. That's okay though. All right. If you were not able to finish, this time just go through the questions with us. And if there was one that maybe gave you a little bit of trouble that you spent more time on than you needed to, let me know. We'll go through it. So.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to tell you I wasn't fast enough. I also finished.
Oh, great. Good job, Tyler. Excellent. I know I speak really quickly a lot of times, so I apologize if I'm talking too quick for y'all. Thank you. All right. So let's go ahead and let's jump into our answers. All right. Here are our answers right here. But more importantly, let's go into the actual document and look at the questions. So if we are in our document here, first question that we are looking at is, first of all, what are we talking about in this?
The Little Ice Age.
Yes. It sounds so cute, like a little mini ice age that you can hold in your hand. I know that I am definitely going to be rereading this passage tonight for fun. Said nobody ever. Again, not fun reading about the mini ice age at all. However, let's see what we did with it. All right. The author most nearly characterizes the role of climate change in the course of history as one that. This one I thought was a little bit tough. What did we end up with on this one?
I got C.
C was greater in medieval Europe than it is today. I can definitely see how you would get that. Definitely, because that's the one I fell for too. Our correct answer is actually A, is neither all important nor is it safely disregarded. So if we go back and we take a closer look at this paragraph, right here. To what extent did climate shifts alter the course of European history? They talk about how they're suspicious with it, but at the same point, you have to kind of acknowledge that it did play a slight role. And you see that here around line 65 and 66. Nor, however, can you contend that climate change is something you can totally ignore. So it talks a lot about medieval Europe because that's when the mini ice age tended to really took a lot of effect. But we can't, it says more precisely that we can't completely get rid of it, but we can't over exaggerate its impact. So it's kind of one of those wishy-washy answers that's not definitive that makes it hard to choose. But the correct answer for number 11 is in fact A. So going on to question 12. Here is one of those main idea questions. Now, who tried to tackle it right away? Did any of y'all just go for number 12 and be like, YOLO?
I just answered it because I thought it was answered in like the first paragraph.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Tyler. I'm sorry.
When I was first going through the passage, I had immediately when I was really supposed to be reading for like the first 10 seconds, I went to go find questions that had like where it quoted where you needed to go for them and see if I could find the answer for those, then go back and read the passage and answer those first.
Hey, if that strategy works for you and it gets you your answers, great. I have no issue with that, and I think it's smart. So was this one of the ones that you tackled right off the bat?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right. So main idea of the first paragraph. Automatically, where are we going to go look, y'all?
First paragraph.
First paragraph. Perfect. And if we go up there, we find that the main idea of the first paragraph is, what do we put? Anybody feeling brave, or did we submit our responses so we can't see it? If that's the case, that's totally understandable.
I got H.
You got H because you were very smart. Excellent job. Frequent and short-term climate shifts. That is correct. Great job. Did anybody get anything else and they're stuck as to why H is correct? All right, then we're just going to keep moving. Number 13, the author uses the remark, the worst rainstorm in memory in line 28. Pause. Where are we going?
Line 28.
Yes, sir. Perfect. All right. Primarily as an example of. All right. So if we scroll up to line 28. By the way, that's like such a grandparent thing to say. This is the worst rainstorm in memory. Back in my day, it didn't rain like this. All right. So we see, because we're reading a little above and a little below. All right. Invaluable for their remarks on unusual weather, but usefulness in making their comparisons is limited. Oh, that's good to know. Remarks like the worst rainstorm in memory or 100 fishing boats overwhelmed by mighty waves do not an accurate meteorological record make, even if they made deep impressions at the time. So if we scroll down and we look at our answer choices, let's see. The kind of well-meaning but ultimately useless records of unusual weather that Evelyn kept, how people in the 18th century were deeply impressed by unusual weather, people's preoccupation with carefully rating and comparing unusual weather events, or how notes people in the past kept about unusual weather are of limited meteorological value today. All right, which answer could we eliminate right away? There's 2 for me.
C.
Yeah, definitely. And what other one could we really get rid of right away? To me, it was B, because we hadn't talked much about the 18th century at that point. So then we're stuck with A and D. Got to bite the bullet. Which do we choose, A or D?
I chose D.
Excellent.
That was
What,
D.
D? What drew y'all to D?
I didn't see who Evelyn was, so I figured that if they were only mentioned once, then, you know, well.
Yeah, perfect. Great. Tyler, what drew you to D?
I I didn't really. I actually, when I was reading, I actually didn't see Evelyn on there, and I really didn't pay much attention to A. So I didn't really have to fight between A or D. When I saw D, I immediately picked it.
Excellent, excellent. And those gut level, like, hey, I'm sure it's this, you have to go with those in reading. And that's why we practice to cultivate that. But it sounds like y'all are doing it already. Excellent job. The correct answer for 13 is in fact D. Good. All right, 14. The author indicates that the common factor in the events and periods listed from lines 50 to 54. Where are we going?
Lines 50 to 54.
Boom, boom, boom. That's it. All right, so if we go up to lines 50 to 54, about medieval Europe and fiefdom. All right, so we scan Age of Discovery, Enlightenment, French Industrial Revolutions, and making a modern Europe. Okay, cool. So we come back down here, and author indicates that the common factor in the events listed from 50 and 54 was that it was in fact during the Little Ice Age. We know that because we are smart and we read above. So right there, intricate tapestry, remarkable change, centuries that saw, right there. Any questions on number 14?
I got the same answer, but in a different way.
Okay, how did you get it?
When I was reading through 58, I kind of like my eyes kind of like skipped over information by accident sometimes, so I wasn't able to get everything from it. But when I was reading through the passages and looking at the other questions that told me to read through the passage, I was able to find out that all this was happening during, like stuff in Europe was happening during medieval Europe, was happening during the Little Ice Age. So I was automatically assuming that should be the correct answer.
Great job, Tyler. Excellent. And again, there are 1,000 ways to one correct answer. And this is about finding the one that works for you. So great job for sharing that, Tyler. Thank you. Trinity, you doing all right?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure you haven't been like hijacked by your little brother or something. All right, so 15. By his statement in 71 through 75, where are we going?
'71 to '75.
Boom, that is it. Excellent job. The author most nearly means that during the Little Ice Age, what happened? What did we get for this one?
B.
B? We liked B on that one. The difference between hunger and plenty was a very small one. I can see how we got that. So we go up to 71 through 75. Their survival depended upon crop cycles of good and poor harvest. of cooler and wetter spring weather can make crucial differences between hunger and plenty of life and death. The sufficiency or insufficiency of food was a powerful motivator in human actions, sometimes on a national or even continent-wide scale, with consequences that could take decades to unfold. All right, so B was in fact your distractor, because what we're looking at is we're looking at the entire Little Ice Age, and it was very, very much feast or famine during that time. And so food or lack thereof could have far-reaching and long-lasting consequences. If we look towards the very end of that section, that's where we find that, with consequences that could take decades to unfold. But right up here, we see that hunger, plenty of life and death, etc. We see that, and we're like, ooh, we want that. But that's our distractor, because we're talking about the sufficiency or insufficiency of food that during the Little Ice Age. So we have to think throughout the entire Little Ice Age. Does that make sense why A is our correct answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Good, good, good. All right. So let's go to 16. The author uses events listed in lines 77 through 79 primarily to. All right, so where are we going? Are y'all sick of me asking you where to go?
77 through 79.
It's okay. I'm going to keep doing it because, you know, it's annoying, but it gets it in your brain. All right, so if we go back to 77 through 79, we're talking about the food crisis in Europe. Yay. Year without summer, to mention only a few. That sounds awful. All right, so if we come down here. All right, bless. All right, to show how weather-related disasters threaten the survival of Western civilization, that's tempting. But ultimately, we have to read a little bit below. And if we read a little bit below, we see that it in fact suggests that climate shifts may have had, or suggests the part that climate shifts may have had in producing modern Europe, because we go up here, we look down, we're considering this. Okay, these crises in themselves do not threaten the continued existence of Western civilization, but they surely played an important role in the formation of modern Europe. So that's that read above and read below right there. That even though they're going to give you that gift of those lines, you can't just trust them and be like, thank you, ACT, you're so nice. Because again, the ACT wants your money. Don't give them your money. So we have to read a little bit below, and that's where we find that answer. Correct answer for 16 is in fact J. All right, question 17. The author cites all of the following as causes of the European food crisis during the Little Ice Age, except, circle that except word, circle it in your brain, since we can't really circle on computers. Please don't circle on computers. I don't want parents being like, excuse me, why did my child circle on their computer? Assuming that your parents all sound like elderly people like that. Anyway, so we know where this is because we just had a question at that. So if we go back up and we look about the food crisis in Europe, all right, consider food crises in Europe, all right, the great hunger, blah, 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 deaths, and year without summer. These crises themselves, oh no, am I going to be given more information? I hope so. They surely played an important role. Some of these crises resulted from, here it is, here's our answer, climactic shifts. Others from human ineptitude or disastrous economical or political policy, many from a combination of all three. So if I scroll back down here, human ineptitude, definitely. Bad economic policy, I saw that. Poor political policy, saw that too. But what didn't I see?
Bankrupt intellectualism.
Yeah, because we would have remembered that bankrupt intellectualism. That sounds very pretentious. So the correct answer for 17 is D, as in, dang, bankrupt intellectualism's a really nice way of calling people dumb.
When I was first reading through 17 and I went to go actually look for the answer,
Mm-hmm.
I have found all A, B, and C up that was like that was not the answer. And the right answer was D. But when you keep reading, it almost confused me because they actually did mention the word, but they mentioned it as something else that wasn't a part of it. So I almost got confused and I had to go back and check my answer.
I'm sorry to make you second guess yourself. You did great though, getting the correct answer. And that's an important lesson too. Don't argue with yourself. You do not have you don't have time to argue with yourself or doubt yourself. You just have to go with what you know. So good job not changing your answer. All right, if we look at 18, the author calls the interactions that produce the Little Ice Age and climate shifts. All right, so if we go, this is going to be one that's a little harder to search. How did y'all find your answer on this one?
When I was on no, how I found this answer when I was reading, I think back in the first paragraph when like the question that was a few questions up that had asked you to go to the first paragraph. I remember seeing those words that sounded a little bit like it, so I went back to go check for it, and I found it.
Great. And the correct answer, Tyler, drum roll, please, is
Um,
no pressure.
I gotta reread it because I don't have my answers pulled up.
Oh, okay, no worries.
G, I
Perfect.
believe.
Excellent. Great job walking through that one. Thank you. All right, 19. Which of the following is not listed in the passage as an element of the Little Ice Age? So again, we're looking for the wrong answer here. Not should be treated just like except. Circle it, circle it, circle it. Correct answer on this one is mild winters and unusually calm ocean. So the correct answer on this one is D. If you notice, just kind of as you go through, it lists these sporadically. So 19 is an example of a question that's going to take a little bit more time, and you may want to use it as one of your last ones, and you may want to use process of elimination, then guess. Any questions on 19? Okay, last one is 20. The author calls which of the following an anomaly? What would be a great search term on this one?
Anomaly.
Boom. All right. And Gina, you feel like taking this one?
Yeah, it was G.
Perfect. Correct answer on this one is G. Today's prolonged warming. I think that was in the first paragraph, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Great job, y'all. Okay, we have a choice now. It is 5:45. We have time to do one more practice, and I can just show you the answers on it, and then we can rush through the exit ticket. Does that sound like what we want to do, or are our brains tired? It is completely up to y'all.
I'm a little tired and I have dinner really soon, so.
All right. Trinity, Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I'm fine with anything.
What's that?
I'm fine with either way.
Either way? Okay. Trinity, what do you want to do? I think Trinity's brother is going to hold her hostage. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to post the humanity, ooh, Weller, let's spell correctly today. I'm going to post the humanities practice for y'all as the first link in the chat, and then the second link will be the exit ticket. So Gina, if you want to go ahead and go get some dinner, I don't blame you. Please make sure that you fill out the exit ticket. So this first link right here, this first forms link, this is your humanities practice. Feel free to do it later if you would like. You can do it on your own time, whatever you want to do. And then the second link that I am sharing right now is your exit ticket. Please, please, please do the exit ticket. That is the one thing I need you to do.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, happy to do it. So the second link is your exit ticket. For those of you that want to stick around and do one more practice, I'm going to go ahead and I will get our timer up. All right. Let me know when you are in the humanities practice. You can either give me a verbal or you can give me an in chat. Those of you at home, I hope, timer started. Boo. Those of you at home that are still with us, I hope you are also ready to go. Remember, once you get into your form, those of you guys at home, pause this video. Okay, Tyler, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we go. 8 minutes on the clock. And do you want me to still prompt you to spend 2 minutes in, or do you want to approach this with the Tyler method?
I think I'll approach it with, I'll try it with my method.
I love it. I love that you're developing your own method already, because that's the goal here. Perfect. All right, 8 minutes on the clock. Ready, set, go, Tyler.
I've already done the exit ticket, so.
Perfect. Well, if you've already done your exit ticket, you are good to go. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to working with you again. Have a good night. All right, those of you guys at home, these are our answers for the humanities passage. These right here are answers for the humanities passage. Now, if y'all have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. My email is Adrienne, ADRIENE, at CAP&GOWN I've included it in the chat. I hope y'all have a great day, and please make sure you fill out your exit tickets so that I can know what you need. Take care, y'all.